Dental and oral health is so important for your overall health in your body. Sometimes we have a tendency to just ignore it or not really prioritize it like we should, and then the rest of our body really suffers. This is why I do something that I've been doing for decades that makes all the difference in the world. It's something called oil pulling. Oil pulling is an Ayurvedic practice that's been around for centuries, and it can really change or level up your oral hygiene, like unbelievably. So what exactly is oil pulling? Oil pulling is kind of like taking an oil and using it kind of like a mouthwash in your mouth. But I'll talk about specifically how to do that. And then we're going to talk about all the amazing benefits. The problem with just ignoring our normal oral hygiene is that we don't realize how many diseases are linked to bad oral hygiene. They're actually finding a lot of studies now that Alzheimer's, brain neurological problems are linked directly to problems in our teeth and our mouth, bacteria, all sorts of things that literally hold in the tissues of our gums and in the roots of down under the teeth. This is why it's so important to really focus on or level up oral hygiene. So, oil pulling, how do we do it? You really want to start by getting a tablespoon of oil. What kind of oil? You can use olive oil, you can use sesame oil, you could use sunflower oil, but my favorite by far is coconut oil. I like coconut oil for a lot of reasons, but it's a little bit thicker, a little more viscous, and that actually pulls a little bit more, I feel, when you're doing it. And it's antifungal, so we're getting a little more in there, not just bacterial. So you want to take your tablespoon, put it in your mouth, and start swishing it around like you would a mouthwash, just like you would think. And swish it, and you're going to kind of work it over here, work it over there, work it with the tongue, moving it around quite a bit. And you want to do this for about 10 to 20 minutes. You'll probably see the most results if you go more like 15 to 20. Seems like a really long time. Set a timer. I usually do start it, and then I wander around doing other things in the morning as I'm getting ready while I'm just doing this, and that way I know, oh, I've got it in. So if you use coconut oil and it's a solid, like during winter, it'll turn liquid very, very quickly. Not an issue. So when you're done with that, your timer has gone off. You want to spit it out, but do not spit this in the sink, because it can clog the sink with all that oil. You want to spit it in the trash, or really that's the best place. You don't want it to go down the pipes, because it can coat the pipes, and over time, if you do this daily, it can really cause a clog problem. So you'll notice something when you spit it out, that even if you use this oil that is a different color and not white, it'll be more white. And that's just because you've worked it and worked it. It's kind of like whipping butter, right? That's why it's going to change its look. When you're done, this is key. Now, rinse your mouth out really, really well with water. Then you can spit that into the sink. This is going to pull, when you spit the oil out, it's going to pull a lot of the bacteria out, and then rinsing is going to make sure we got it all out. You're not going to swallow that oil. It's got all the bacteria just pulled out, right? You also don't want to swallow that rinse water. Make sure you spit it out into the sink. Then you're still going to do your normal routine of brushing your teeth, flossing, your normal things that you do, maybe normal mouthwash, whatever that is. Sometimes if I'm in a hurry, I have been known to take a little bit of my really strong essential oil mouthwash and add it to my oil pulling. And I just put it together at the same exact time. How frequently do you want to do this? Usually it's 3 to 7 times a week. So you can do it daily or just a few times a week. It really depends on your body and your oral health and where you are. How are your teeth? What are they like, right? Well, let's get into what this is doing for you and why on earth we want to do it. The benefits. Number one benefit, it's going to reduce oral bacteria. And this is key to reducing all the other diseases, because the mouth is that first place we're going to take things in, right? So one of the big things they don't always talk about is we hold strep in our mouth and our gums very, very commonly. Strep is what's going to cause a lot of illnesses in the body. It can create even brain inflammation. It can, especially in young children, turn on something called pandas, which is a horrible brain inflammation for those who already have detox pathways that are difficult. So doing oil pulling will pull that out of the gums and the teeth area. And strep is what breaks down your teeth even more. It invites all the other things, that food particles and the sugar, to kind of get in there, stuck, turn to this awful bacteria that breaks down your teeth and enamel. So really good to have that gone and out of the body. Super important. The other thing it does is it decreases plaque on the teeth. Especially if you're doing this daily, then you should notice a little bit of a reduction. Now, if you are starting this as a full adult or an older adult, and you already have a lot of plaque buildup, I do encourage you to go take care of that with maybe an oral hygienist or a dentist first, because this is more about maintenance. Maintenance so that the plaque doesn't build up to begin with. And that is a great way to handle that maintenance. It's also going to reduce gum disease. And so this is going to help with gum health and the tissue health. This is how we're going to reduce them being inflamed and getting horrible diseases, gingivitis, trench mouth, those type of things. It's also going to help reduce bad breath. Why? Obviously, we've gotten rid of the bacteria that causes the bad breath. But if you have chronic halitosis, chronic bad breath, this is one way to address that, because it may be something that's just hanging on and bacteria hiding in the tissues in your mouth. The other thing it can do is help moisturize the mouth a little bit, because it moisturizes or lubricates all the tissues in your mouth. I'm not saying it's going to be the answer for dry mouth in general, but if you have a little bit of dry mouth, not a lot, and you notice that frequently, doing oil pulling daily or regularly can help moisturize all of the tissues in your mouth and make that just a little bit better. And then, of course, believe it or not, it'll whiten your teeth just a little. Why? Because when we have bacteria buildup, that's what starts to really create problems. Also, it's going to help get rid of things before staining can really take place if you're doing it on a regular basis. So this is one thing, one practice that I really encourage you to try. Try it for an amount of time for 1 month. Do 30 days, do oil pulling, stop, see if you notice the difference. I have loved it and have never gone back. And as someone who's had a lot of problems with teeth, it's been a lifesaver and kept me out of the dentist more since I started doing it. Because like I always say, natural healing is totally doable.